All right, so Lupin Ltd's Q2 FY25 financials, they just came out,
Yeah.
and man, are they making waves.
Really making us blind.
Net income up a crazy 74% year over year.
That's impressive.
Margins are sitting pretty at 15.5%.
Wow.
Now, I know you're all busy people, so we've gone through their official statements, investor presentation, even a regulatory filing to try to bring you the insights you need to know.
That's right. We're trying to go beyond the headlines.
Yeah.
We really want to get to the real story here,
Yeah.
What's Lupin's strategy and what can we learn about their future from these numbers?
Okay, so consolidated results, 11.3% year-over-year sales growth,
Okay.
hitting a pretty substantial 54,970 million INR.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Now, here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
EBITDA margin, which essentially measures their core profitability, that's a strong 23.8%.
Wow.
That's a 41.7% improvement year over year.
And, if you look at the investor presentation, it's clear this upward trajectory has been going on for a while now, especially in terms of profitability.
So let's talk about what's driving the success, yeah?
Okay.
Let's start with their performance in India, their home market.
Right.
19% year-over-year growth, outpacing the overall market.
Makes sense. They would do well there.
Yeah, and the investor presentation, it actually gives us some clues as to why they might be doing so well there.
Oh, interesting.
They're dominating in some pretty key chronic segments.
Okay.
Like diabetes, for example.
Right.
They saw a 19% growth compared to the market's 9%.
That's more than double.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
So clearly they're doing something right.
So what's their secret?
Well, I think one factor is they're focusing on beyond the pill initiatives.
Beyond the pill.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
These are programs that go beyond just giving medication, right? So they're investing in diagnostics,
Okay.
creating digital platforms, and emphasizing community health.
So it's not just about selling pills. It's about creating a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. Exactly.
I like that.
So it begs the question, right?
Yeah.
Are these initiatives actually contributing to their market dominance?
Well, we can't say for certain.
Mm-hmm.
The financials don't explicitly break down the impact of these initiatives.
Right.
But their sustained growth, I think it suggests that they are playing a role.
Yeah.
It makes sense that taking a more holistic approach to patient care might build loyalty, set them apart from their competition.
Absolutely. Now let's turn our attention to North America, specifically the U.S. market.
All right.
Now, this is a notoriously complex market.
Definitely.
With intense competition, ever-evolving regulations. How's Lupin navigating this challenging landscape?
No, it seems like although U.S. sales have remained relatively steady,
Okay.
they're making a strategic shift, I think, towards complex generics.
Interesting. What are those?
Those are basically more specialized generic drugs.
Okay.
Often they require more sophisticated manufacturing processes. In fact, complex generics now make up 40% of their U.S. sales this quarter.
Okay, so they're moving away from the more traditional generics market.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that.
What's that?
The generics market, especially for, the simpler drugs, it's facing intense pricing pressure.
Okay.
That means lower profit margins.
Right, of course.
So by focusing on complex generics, they can tap into a market with less competition, potentially higher margins.
So are they essentially trading volume for value?
You could say that.
Okay, smart strategy, but can they pull it off?
That's the question.
What makes them competitive in this complex generics arena?
Well, they're actually pretty well positioned, I think.
Okay.
A full 66% of their U.S. products are ranked in the top 3.
Wow. How do they manage to consistently secure those top spots?
Well, it's a combination of factors.
Okay.
They've got an impressive track record with 49 first-to-file approvals.
Really?
Yeah, that means they get a head start in bringing these generics to market.
Makes sense.
And 17 of those are exclusive.
Oh, wow. So they get to enjoy a period of market exclusivity before other generics can enter.
Oh, I see. That's a big advantage.
It is.
All right. And their respiratory portfolio is doing really well.
Yeah.
Albuterol holds a 21.6% market share, Arformoterol at 27.4%.
Mm-hmm.
They're killing it.
But, we've got to address the elephant in the room.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Lupin has had its fair share of challenges in the U.S.
Right.
Specifically, those 2 FDA warning letters in
Yeah.
the past.
Yeah, I remember those.
These warning letters, they pointed to some issues.
Like what?
Manufacturing processes and quality control.
Mm-hmm.
So, it raises some concerns about their compliance and reliability,
It does.
especially when we're talking about complex generics.
Right, because those demand even higher levels of precision.
Exactly, and quality control.
Yeah, so how are they addressing those issues?
Well, the investor presentation, it highlights their commitment to quality and regulatory compliance.
That's good.
They're discussing, successful FDA inspections,
Okay.
ongoing remediation efforts at the sites that actually received the warning letters.
So are they taking concrete steps
It seems like they are.
to rebuild trust, demonstrate their commitment to quality?
Yeah, which is essential if they want to succeed in this complex generics market, right?
It seems that way.
Now, let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
Look at their performance beyond the U.S.
Right.
investor presentation. It gives us a glimpse into their growth in other key regions, like EMA and ARCOBIOBI.
Okay.
And we're seeing a diverse range of strategies at play in these markets.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
For instance, they achieved a pretty staggering 166% year-over-year growth in Brazil.
166%? Are you serious?
Yeah, driven primarily by ophthalmic products and tender wins.
Wow, they must be capitalizing on some specific market opportunities there.
Yeah, it seems like they've identified a niche in the Brazilian market for ophthalmic products, and they're strategically leveraging tender opportunities
Okay.
to secure some large-scale contracts.
Wow, smart.
Really understanding the local market dynamics and tailoring their approach.
Makes sense.
Another interesting tidbit from the investor presentation
Okay.
is their strong performance in their global institutional business.
Right.
Robust anti-TB sales.
Interesting.
And this ties back to Lupin's focus on global health initiatives,
Okay.
demonstrating their commitment to addressing critical health challenges worldwide.
It's great that they're doing that.
Yeah, and you know what I think is really fascinating?
What's that?
This diverse geographical performance could be a strategic move to manage risk.
How so?
A presence in multiple markets
Yeah.
could provide a buffer against downturns in any single region.
That's true. Diversification can be a really powerful tool
Exactly.
for mitigating
Okay.
risk.
Now, if we turn our attention to the financials and future outlook,
Okay. Okay.
we've seen how they're diversifying geographically. They're strategically shifting towards these complex generics. But to really understand their future prospects, we need to look at their financials.
Yeah, absolutely. The financials always tell the story.
So what jumps out at you when you look at their numbers?
Well, one thing that's immediately apparent is their investment in R&D, research and development.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent, right?
Yeah, they've consistently allocated around 8% of sales to R&D.
That's significant. What's driving that?
It's likely fueling their push into complex generics. Developing these specialized drugs, it requires a lot of investment, research, clinical trials, manufacturing.
And it's not just R&D. They're putting money into expanding their physical infrastructure, too.
That's right. The cash flow statement shows a pretty substantial investment in property, plant, and equipment.
So, what are they building?
Well, the documents don't provide specifics, but this level of investment hints at some serious capacity building.
Okay.
Maybe expanding their manufacturing facilities to accommodate the production of complex generics.
Yeah.
Or even venturing into new areas, like biosimilars.
Speaking of biosimilars, the investor presentation ends with a pretty interesting question.
What's that?
How will Lupin capitalize on the growth of biosimilars?
Biosimilars, the future of pharmaceuticals.
What are they, for people who don't know?
Essentially, generic versions of those really complex biologic drugs,
Okay.
offering a more affordable alternative to these expensive treatments.
So Lupin's in a good spot to take advantage of this, then?
They seem to be making the right moves. They've already got a presence in the biosimilars space.
Okay.
Approvals and launches in key markets.
So what's their edge? How do they compete in such a crowded market?
I think a key advantage is their vertically integrated model.
What's that?
They have control over the entire process, from development and manufacturing to distribution.
Oh, okay.
This gives them a lot of control over quality, costs, and timelines.
Right.
Especially in a field as complex and regulated as biosimilars.
But every business has its challenges, right? And the investor presentation, it does mention their debt situation.
Oh, right. Their net debt to equity ratio, it's relatively low.
Okay.
But it has been increasing.
So should we be worried?
It's not necessarily a red flag.
Okay.
Taking on debt can be strategic to fuel growth.
Makes sense.
Especially for companies like Lupin that are investing heavily. but it does add financial leverage and potential risk, so it's something to monitor.
Okay, so we've talked about Lupin's performance.
Right.
Their strategic shift towards complex generics and biosimilars, global expansion,
Yeah.
their financials.
We've covered a lot.
But as we often say on this deep dive, numbers only tell part of the story.
Exactly. We've explored the what?
The tangible results
Yeah.
and their strategic moves.
But to really understand Lupin's trajectory, we need to get to the why.
The why behind their decisions.
Exactly. We need to connect their performance and strategic choices to the broader trends shaping the industry.
The big picture.
Only then can we really understand the whole situation.
I'm all ears. What are these trends that are influencing Lupin?
Well, one major trend is the pricing pressure
Right.
in the generics market.
Especially for, like, simpler drugs.
Exactly. More commoditized drugs.
So where's that pressure coming from?
Well, it's coming from various sources, government regulations, aimed at lowering drug costs.
Okay.
Increased competition from other manufacturers.
So they're kind of stuck in the middle.
It's a race to the bottom on price,
Yeah.
which obviously squeezes profit margins.
This explains their shift then toward those complex generics.
Exactly, and biosimilars,
Right.
those markets offer higher margins,
Yeah.
less cutthroat competition.
They're adapting to survive.
Absolutely, they're not passively accepting the market realities. They're evolving.
All right, so what else? What other trends are we seeing?
Another significant trend is the regulatory landscape.
Always changing, right?
Constantly evolving, especially in developed markets like the U.S. Regulators are becoming increasingly stringent
Makes sense.
about quality and compliance.
And that makes those FDA warning letters even more relevant.
Exactly. It's a reminder that maintaining quality standards is non-negotiable.
Especially when we're talking about people's health.
Precisely. And these regulatory hurdles are raising the bar for entry. It's more challenging for companies to bring new products to market.
So Lupin's investments in quality control, that shows their commitment then.
It does. It shows they're serious about meeting those standards.
It's not just about being compliant though, right?
No, it's about building trust
With patients.
with healthcare providers.
Trust is everything in this industry.
Absolutely. And speaking of trust and changing dynamics, we can't forget biosimilars.
All right, let's dive a little deeper.
Okay.
Why are they such a game changer?
Well, traditional biologic drugs, they're really effective,
Yeah.
but they're also super expensive.
Right.
So biosimilars, as more affordable alternatives, are disrupting this market by providing more accessible treatment options.
So it's good for patients.
Absolutely. They get access to life-saving treatments.
At lower costs.
And companies like Lupin have an opportunity to tap into this market.
So everyone wins.
Exactly.
Wow.
And Lupin's early investment in biosimilars,
Yeah.
coupled with their vertically integrated model, suggests that they're ready to capitalize on this.
Okay, so let's recap.
Right.
We've got pricing pressure in the generics market, evolving regulations,
Yeah.
the rise of biosimilars, and Lupin is in the middle of it all.
So what does that mean?
What does it all mean?
It means that Lupin's strong Q2 results, they're not a coincidence.
Right.
They're a deliberate response
Okay.
to the challenges and opportunities in this dynamic landscape.
So they're not just reacting.
No, they're anticipating.
They're adapting.
They're innovating.
This shows their agility, their commitment to long-term growth.
Exactly. By focusing on complex generics, investing in biosimilars, expanding geographically, prioritizing quality.
They're setting themselves up for success.
They are.
It's a fascinating case study
It really is.
in how to navigate a changing industry.
Definitely.
But our deep dive, it doesn't end there, does it?
No, there's one more layer.
Oh, okay, what's that?
The impact of healthcare reforms.
Oh, right. Governments around the world. They're grappling with rising healthcare costs.
Yeah.
They're looking for ways to make it more affordable, accessible.
Exactly. And these reforms often involve controlling drug pricing,
Okay.
promoting generics and biosimilars,
Right.
increasing transparency in the industry.
These policies, they have a ripple effect.
They do on companies like Lupin.
So it's not just about the market.
No.
It's about the policies and regulations
It's a complex web.
that are constantly evolving.
Exactly. And to really understand Lupin's future, we need to consider how these reforms will shape the landscape.
So many questions. How will these reforms impact pricing? Will they accelerate biosimilar adoption?
Interesting questions.
How will companies like Lupin adapt?
We need to keep exploring.
I love that.
There's always more to learn.
This is just the beginning.
It is. There's more to delve into.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this so fascinating. It feels like we've uncovered a ton about Lupin and the pharma industry in general.
A lot to think about.
But you know our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
They're already thinking 10 steps ahead.
They always are.
What's the so what of all this?
They're right.
What's the big takeaway here?
Well, I think the big picture lesson is this. The pharmaceutical landscape, it's constantly changing.
Always in flux.
And companies that do well, they don't just ride the waves.
Oh.
They anticipate the waves. They understand the currents underneath.
So Lupin, with the complex generics.
Exactly.
It's not just random. It's a response.
A calculated move.
To the pricing pressure to find new niches.
And their biosimilar play? That's them getting ahead of the curve. Just recognizing the future of healthcare.
Okay, so bringing it back down to earth.
All right.
What does this mean for, say, an investor or someone just interested in healthcare?
It means asking the right questions.
Okay.
When you see a company's financials,
yeah,
don't just stop at the surface.
Dig deeper.
Why are they performing this way?
Right.
What are their challenges? How are they responding?
So it's like treating the financials as clues.
I like that.
Like a detective novel.
Exactly. You got to piece together the story.
And you have to be aware of the context.
The big picture.
The industry trends.
The regulatory
The bigger forces at play.
It's all connected.
We're all detectives.
We are.
But let's be real. This stuff can be dense.
It can be a lot.
Any tips for making sense of it?
Curiosity is key.
Okay.
Follow the why questions. Read articles. Listen to podcasts.
Like this one.
Don't be afraid to get into the details.
Small bites.
Small bite.
Right.
Absolutely. Even understanding one key trend can give you an advantage.
When making decisions.
Whether you're an investor, a healthcare professional, or just a curious person.
So, to wrap it all up.
Okay.
What's the one thing you want listeners to walk away with?
Understanding a company or an industry goes beyond the numbers.
Okay.
It's about strategy, market forces, global trends.
Big picture.
And never losing your curiosity.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
We have, but this is just the beginning.
It always is.
There's always more to explore.
Other connections to make.
More to learn.
Exactly.
So, dear listener, keep digging.
Keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
Until next time.
Happy learning.